All right, so the scripture I want to share is 1 Corinthians 11, verses 3 through 16, and also 1 Peter 3:7. What needs to be remembered here is that this was a time where they were transitioning from the Mosaic law to the law of Christ. It's a huge mistake to think that the Mosaic law was abolished. In fact, it was entirely kept, but it was perfected through Christ. And what that means is a lot of what we would see today as being symbolism, the symbols in a lot of cases passed away, but the heart of God remained. And so we understand the deeper meanings, and we keep the commands of God as the commands of God and not the letter of the law or the exact way that he said to keep it. Much of this was given, in fact, not to be ceremonies and traditions, and especially not for men to add to it and to puff it up and to make it something that served them. By no means. It was given as reminders of what God was teaching his people, and to help them to understand in a more intuitive way the things that he wanted his people to understand. And so if you read these verses literally, you can get really lost. And if you look at 2 Corinthians 11, I don't remember if I started in 2 or 3, but it's right in the meat of the matter. And you go through 16. If you look at it as instruction about head coverings, you're going to be really lost, especially if you consider that, maybe one of you can find it. I can't find anywhere, nor can my wife find anywhere in the Torah where we're commanded to have head coverings. It's apparently part of the oral tradition, something that was just added in there. But Paul seems to give it some credence, and he seems to show where there's some symbolism there to keep in mind. There's something valuable to pay attention to. Let's see here. Let me see if I can find this. Okay, so starting, in verse 3. But I want you to consider and see that Christ is the head of every man, and the man is the head of a woman, and God is the head of Christ. That last part is something to consider another day. I'm not sure, people get into discussions about the Trinity, but this passage, if you take it for what it is, gives beautiful insight into the synergy that a marriage is supposed to have, and the unity and the way that the man and the woman work together. Okay, so it is not a passage about head coverings. It's not that you literally put over your head. It's about that synergy, and it's about prayer and prophecy, so that you can better understand how these things are supposed to function. And so he says, consider and see that Christ is the head of every man, and the man is the head of a woman, and God is the head of Christ. Every man who has something on his head while praying or prophesying is violently cursing his head. But every woman who has her head uncovered while praying or prophesying violently curses her head. For it is one and the same as the woman whose head is shaved. We can go into great detail about what hair meant to the Israelites and all of these things. But you can still understand it in general terms without getting into that too deeply. Carrying on. For if a woman does not cover her head, have her also cut her hair off. However, if it is disgraceful for a woman to have her hair cut off or her head shaved, have her cover her head. For a man should not have his head covered, since he is the image and glory of God, but the woman is the glory of man. For man does not originate from woman, but woman from man. For indeed, man was not created for the woman's sake, but woman for the man's sake. Therefore, the woman should have a symbol of authority on her head because of the angels. Honestly, I'm not sure where the angels play a part here. However, in the Lord, neither woman is independent of man, nor man independent of woman. For as the woman originated from the man, so also the man has birth through the woman, and all things originate from God. Judge for yourselves, is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Does even nature itself not teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a dishonor to him, but if a woman has long hair, it is a glory to her? For her hair is given to her as a covering. But if anyone is inclined to be contentious, we have no other such custom, nor have the churches of God. I think that's his way of saying this isn't really a disputable matter. And let's continue this in just a moment.
We'd love to hear from you. Please write to us at disciplesofcana@gmail.com.